Hi, everybody. I started with one video idea and then I kind of switched it to some other idea because I was going to talk about a recent CD that was given to me by Paul Ayres, who's also on my Patreon. And it's a pretty crazy album that, probably 80% of rock music fans wouldn't care for. But 20% or so would, and I'm one of them. And so what I thought I would do instead for this video is just talk about overall the different genres of mainly rock music that I listen to. And it's not strictly rock music, but it is mainly rock music. And I think it's because of the Beatles. Growing up with the Beatles being my favorite band, and they still are my favorite band, they just they did basically everything that you can do in rock music or close to it, from ballads, acoustic numbers, heavy rock like Helter Skelter, blues rock like Your Blues, comedy rock like You Know My Name, Look Up the Number, children's songs, Yellow Submarine, experimental music like Revolution 9. And yeah, they just did such a wide range of different music. And so, because of mainly the Beatles, I've grown up appreciating all kinds of different music. So, I'll just show you 10, I think, no, 12. 12 different artists, and most of them are pretty different. And so one is Gene Clark. This album, No Other. He he was in the Byrds, and this was kind of a cult album, but I think it's kind of grown in stature beyond just being a cult album. And this is just one of my all-time favorite albums. It's a mixture of, it's even hard to explain, but it's a mixture of old country, progressive pop, rock. It's just it's just a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. And then on the heavier side of music that I love Motorhead. And this is their Ace of Spades album. And I think there's a couple other heavy kind of bands I'm going to show you. But you can't go wrong with Motorhead. And then for your kind of regular great classic rock, one of my favorite bands, of course, Creedence Clearwater Revival. They were almost like, because the Beatles had broken up in the late 60s, early 70s. So Creedence was almost like the next Beatles for me for a short while until they broke up. And then, talking about more out there kind of music, this artist is known to be pretty crazy, but that being said, some of his albums are more, they're not they're not all really bizarre albums, but this one is probably my favorite, from Captain Beefheart and the Magic Band, Shiny Beast, Bat Chain Puller. It's a little out there, it's a little crazy, but he is such a an amazing talent and actually a great singer. But if you're looking for to get into Captain Beefheart, try one of his more regular albums to start with, just to get used to his vocals. And I would suggest Clear Spot. It's excellent. Then of course there's like Trout Mask Replica, which is weirder than this. This has actual great music on it. Not that Trout Mask Replica doesn't, but I think almost anybody that listens to that album isn't going to appreciate it on the first listen. You need to listen to it a few times because the band, just the timing of the music is so different. You have to kind of get used to it. And then I like, quieter music like Randy Newman. Big fan of Randy Newman. I've got this one box set. I used to have all of these on vinyl back in the day. And my favorite is probably Little Criminals, the one that has short people. And I also have one more of his, Born Again. And yeah, at first I wanted to just talk about this band. So they're kind of in between kind of normal music and out there music. And they had quite a bit of success and they had some radio, at least one big radio hit. And I'm talking about Devo. Just a fun band. And they only have their first 3 albums. But I think I would like to get at least their fourth album also. And this is the one, of course, with Whip It, which was a huge radio hit. And then after this, they did get a bit more commercial, kind of being forced by the record company to get those hits out. And then I have an appreciation for jazz rock. I've got some Miles Davis CDs that I enjoy, but it's because of Frank Zappa I got into jazz rock. This is just straight out jazz rock, and also Hot Rats and Wacka Jawacka. So those 3 albums in a row, and I love them. This is my favorite, I believe. Well, between this and Hot Rats. And it's mainly instrumental and just made me appreciate jazz rock. Now, this artist, probably 90% of you out there don't like, and she gets a lot of abuse, and it's sad. Especially when people don't really listen to her albums, her song-related albums. So this isn't actually John Lennon Plastic Ono Band, it's Yoko Ono's album that came out at the same time. And it includes a song called Why, with just incredible guitar work by John Lennon, and then of course Yoko screaming on top of it. And I totally understand a lot of people not liking that. I actually do. I don't always like her screaming, but she doesn't always do that. She's got a double album called Approximately Infinite Universe. It's all song based. It's a fun album. There's some serious songs on it. There's one song about suicide, and I just think she's a great talent. And actually, I love her vocals, but I understand people not liking her, for whatever reason. Then there's progressive rock music that I love. And this is probably the most difficult album to ever get into, besides Trout Mask Replica. Yes's Tales from Topographic Oceans. It took me years to really appreciate this, and now it's my favorite Yes album. So I love progressive rock. Steven Wilson, Genesis, Porcupine Tree, Marillion, all kinds. And I'm a huge fan of Lou Reed, and I'm also a huge fan of the band he was in, Velvet Underground. I love all 4 of they actually had 5, but the 5th one is really considered a solo album by Doug Yule, and I don't have that one. But the first four are just perfect. I love all four, basically the same. They're 10 out of 10 albums. And like I said, I also love Lou Reed's solo career. And then, of course, another heavy band I love is Black Sabbath. This is my favorite Black Sabbath album, Sabotage. I don't always, I don't know, I guess this is like heavy metal, hard rock, but I'm not always a fan of, like Judas Priest and bands like that. I never, they're just not my thing. So it's like Motorhead, Black Sabbath for heavy music, and that's almost about it. There might be another band or two that I like. And I'll end this with the CD that was given to me by Paul Ayres about a few months ago, I guess. And I listened to it once, and it was kind of like what I thought it would sound like. And I did enjoy it. And then I might have listened to it a couple more times, and then I didn't listen to it for quite a few weeks. And then a couple weeks ago, I played it again, and it's like, oh my God, I actually really, really love this album. And it is The Residents. You can tell by the album cover is just as weird as the music within. Duck Stab. And they've put out quite a few albums, and I definitely want to get more albums. And there's some, I don't know, some of the music on this is actually beautiful. It's really hard to describe, but I do this CD exchange with Glenn Kellaway from The Basement on my Canadian Studmuffin channel, and he's getting this, and I'm really curious. He might hate it, at least on the first listen, but I think he might actually grow to appreciate it like I do. So thank you again, Paul Ayres. I'm definitely going to get more Residents albums. And that is it. So yeah, I'd also be interested in, what you think of music. Are you kind of, there's some people that are just stuck with great classic rock, Journey, Kansas, Styx, the Beatles, just kind of regular stuff that's on the radio. But, maybe you're even more into, I do like old country too. The only thing I have though is Johnny Cash. It's American recordings. But, I like, I appreciate, Buck Owens, Roger Miller, and, artists like that from the 60s. Because I used to, when I got bored, I used to go into my dad's country music vinyl records and listen to some of that. Hank Stone. And oh yeah, blues rock. I love Canned Heat. So, I think I'm pretty open to music, and that's why, I have this Patreon page and people send me music. And I would say 90% of it I enjoy because I feel I'm pretty open to music. And I can respect most music, although I don't like new country. I have my limits. But yeah, that's it. I would love your thoughts in the comment section below about what kind of music you listen to. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Have a great day. Bye.